born late, but my mom is from Paris. She loves them so much. And she said they're like, that at first they start out, and when they start, they just feel like normal flats. They like mold to your foot, and so now she says they're like big old slippers. And it's so great.
You were okay. That was our office.
Like
That
chatting.
was our office on Friday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's us.
So expensive.
I'm glad we
It was so.
Actually,
so
found these on ASL. Some lady, she bought them, and I bought size 6, which is my size, and they're too small for it. And so she like brought them, and like
If I sit down, would that be all right?
Yeah.
Sorry. And does that person, is there a person there that needs
Yes.
to see me, or is it just recording right now?
It's just recording.
Okay.
Whatever you're comfortable with.
I really want to sit down.
Do it.
Okay. This is the most awkward part of the presentation. And actually, first and foremost, I should ask, how much time do you have? When do you need to be out of here?
Class supposed to be out in 10
In
minutes.
10 minutes?
Yeah, but
And it will happen.
okay.
It will happen. In 10 minutes. I was late, and that was completely my fault. I double scheduled. Oh no, that was I ran across campus too. Lungs are inflamed now. Most awkward part of the presentation because of the title. I'm not going to be training you on how to do these things. That's not the point of this whatsoever. I just haven't thought through a better title for this yet. I'm John. I'm with the Title IX office. First and foremost, I want to say that we have a pretty safe campus, and our programs are pretty safe. Where are you traveling to? You're just all over?
London, Paris, Berlin, Munich, Athens.
Oh, wow. So, how long will you be gone? Like
3 weeks.
okay, that's a lot of places in 3 weeks. You're likely to have a safe experience. Your professor didn't invite me because he's in fear that you are going to be victims of these behaviors that I'm going to talk about. We do have a safe campus, and our programs are pretty safe, but we want you to be aware of these behaviors just in case they happen. Not only for this upcoming study abroad, not only during your BYU experience, but also for the rest of your lives, right? If you're familiar with Title IX, you know that it's a law about discrimination. Basically, a law about discrimination on college campuses. The law says that universities can't discriminate against either individuals based on their sex or their gender. But I go around campus talking about sexual violence and sexual misconduct, and people often wonder what the connection is, and this is the connection. Sexual violence can be a form of sexual harassment, and sexual harassment can be a form of sex discrimination. Am I blocking your view at all? Okay. The university has a sexual misconduct policy, basically in response to the responsibilities that the federal government has given us. And the policy basically says that these behaviors are prohibited: sex discrimination, sexual harassment, sexual assault, sexual violence, dating violence, domestic violence, stalking. When they're committed or perpetrated by anyone who has anything to do with the university. So students, employees, participants in university programs, and then visitors to campus. Probably 3 of these are pretty obvious. Visitors to campus, anyone who's like the random person shopping at the bookstore, or someone who's here for a sporting event. Or if during the course of this, over the summer, if you're ever here on campus, you know that the average age of our campus drops by what, like 5 or 7 years? Because of all the EFY and sports campus students, they're covered by this policy. Participants in university programs, what's your housing arrangement going to be like while you're traveling? Okay. And let's say the university had like some kind of arrangement with, I don't like saying the word hostile, because when I say it, it doesn't sound any different from the word hostile. So I'm gonna have to use both of those words during this presentation, so forgive me. But if the university had arrangements with your housing situations, then and any of these behaviors were perpetrated within those situations, of course they're covered too. So let's say for instance there is a group who's staying with host families. The university has an arrangement with that host family. If there is domestic violence occurring within that host family's household, we don't want our students to have to endure that during their whole study abroad experience. And so participants in university programs, that family would be covered by this policy, and we would want to pull our student out. If someone violates the policy, they can be disciplined. Discipline for students can be up to suspension and dismissal. employees can be fired, and then individuals who we don't have jurisdiction over, like those the participants in our programs and those visitors, they can be banned from campus or be banned from our programs. These next few slides will quickly go through these behaviors. Sexual harassment, any unwelcomed conduct of a sexual nature. These are examples of what sexual harassment can look like. Noting that it has to be unwelcomed, and it has to be of a sexual nature. Sometimes jokes can be inappropriate, but if you have a group of people who think that joke is funny, it's obviously not unwelcome to them. So of course, joking, intentional touching, verbal abuse, comments about other people's bodies, offensive text messages and other types of correspondences, things like that could fall under sexual harassment. That's a violation of university policy, and those type of behaviors are reportable to the university. And the university would have to correct those things. Dating violence and domestic violence are a lot alike, so I'll explain them together. Dating violence occurs when there's a social or romantic relationship, and there's violence or physical harm or a threat of violence or physical harm within that situation. I know you're not to be dating while you're traveling, but let's say you meet someone, and you won't even be really staying in one place long enough for this to happen. But you're traveling, you come across somebody, and you become enamored with them, and they're enamored with you back. That it always helps that they like you back, right? And then you find yourself dating them even though you're not supposed to. And there's this type of behavior going on. There's violence or physical harm, or violence or physical harm. Please report that, regardless of the fact that that rule is broken. The university is still concerned for your safety. And your director will be traveling with you, right? Please let your director know. You're not required to, but to make sure that we're all safe, we want your director will know what to do in instances like that. Domestic violence occurs when individuals are married or when they just live in the same household, actually. And again, violence or physical harm or a threat of violence or physical harm is perpetrated within that scenario or situation. This is our most misunderstood and jokes about behavior, stalking. When we talk about if we pull up someone's Facebook profile and we're just checking them out, right? We're not stalking them. But in reality, that's not what stalking is. Stalking occurs when there's a course of conduct, and that's just two of them. Are you laughing because that?
I'm laughing about the Facebook
Okay,
comment.
because
Don't worry.
You're not laughing at stalking.
No, I'm like, stalking. No, I'm not that creepy.
Sorry. It's been a long day. Stalking occurs when there's a course of conduct, and a course of conduct is just basically two or more acts. And that person that is the targeted individual, they're made to fear for their safety or the safety of a third person, or they suffer emotional distress. Stalking isn't always that creepy person following someone around late at night and then like hiding in the bushes and all that stuff. It can be perpetrated with the use of technology. So someone can be stalked with a series of text messages. Remember, it's just that individual who the behavior is targeted towards, and if they feel fear for their safety or emotional distress, that other person has engaged in stalking behavior. So it could be a bad social situation gone wrong, where individual, any Marys, or is there anyone named Mary in the classroom? Okay. Or Adam? Okay. It's nice to use names of people not in the room. Mary and Adam, Adam really likes Mary, and Adam wants to go out with Mary. Mary says yes. Mary calls up later on and cancels. Adam's really upset. First, initially, he's texting her. He's like, "Hey, if you don't want to go out this Friday, let's go out next Friday." She's still persisting. She's not persisting. She says no. And Adam becomes annoyed, upset, starts sending rude messages and then threatening messages. Some people might say what Mary should do in that situation is just ignore Adam or block his number. Or even a friend might say, "Hey, give me your phone, Mary, and I will send him a message that will make him stop." Those might be solutions, but by this point, when Mary is feeling emotional distress or even possibly fear for her safety, Adam is already engaged in stalking, and that's reported behavior. Mary doesn't have to do anything. Obviously, we shouldn't expect someone who's in fear of somebody else to have to approach them. They should be able to get help. And in this situation, Mary can get help. So I share that example to point out that it wasn't even Adam showing up in person, but it was all via text at that point. I'm going to get through these next behaviors really quickly. Sexual assault, any unwanted sexual contact resulting from forced threats, bribes, manipulation, pressure, or violence. These are examples of sexual assault, but sexual assault is not limited to these behaviors. Sexual assault basically includes any situation where sexual activity has occurred and someone hasn't consented to it. Consent is a voluntary agreement to engage in intimate sexual activity, and then consent can be withdrawn at any time. So two individuals can be consensually engaging in sexual activity or just intimate activity, and if one person says no at some moment during this course of this activity, the other person should stop. They've withdrawn their consent, and that's okay. They can say no at that point, regardless of what happened a moment before or 10 minutes before. We are BYU, and you are aware of the honor code. We do love the honor code, but I want to emphasize this. If for some reason you find yourself in a situation where you're engaging in intimate activity and someone has crossed that line, you don't even necessarily have to say no or stop. They just cross that line because they haven't received your consent. That is reportable behavior. You're aware that our office has undergone a lot of transition in this past year. And I'll share this last thought to explain how things work in the office now. If, let's say, Mary and Adam again, did I use those names earlier?
Yeah.
Okay, Mary and Adam, and I'll do this in under a minute because we have to go. Mary and Adam are engaged in consensual sexual behavior. They're happy doing it. They've been dating and everything. And at some point, Mary doesn't want to engage in sexual behavior anymore, and she says no during a scenario where they're being intimate. She says no, and Adam doesn't listen, and Adam just continues on. Mary doesn't say anything else, but Mary feels horrible about this, and so Mary reports this to our office. What our office will do with this information now is we'll gather information from Mary and obviously information from Adam. Now we have this case file, and Adam, who's engaged in non-consensual behavior with Mary, basically a sexual assault, he will have to be disciplined because he's broken, violating university policy. We send that information to the honor code office because the honor code office is the disciplining arm of our university. But before we send that information over to the honor code office, we redact all of Mary's information, her name, her phone number, her student ID, the names of her friends that she may have mentioned, the names of her roommates, if she mentioned any of her classes, we would redact that. Anything that would help somebody figure out who Mary is in that file is redacted before it goes to the honor code office. Because we still send it to the honor code office because Adam has to be disciplined for engaging in non-consensual sexual behavior. We obviously do that so that Mary isn't here or reported being sexually assaulted. And I lost the last thought I had, but again, the university, your professors, the administrators here are more concerned about your safety, about Mary's safety than that broken rule. And if Mary feels safe reporting, then we also know that people like Adam who might engage in that behavior aren't here victimizing and perpetrating those behaviors against the rest of us. I'll say very last thought. I know that this is like a dismal presentation, and I ended on like a really dark note. But the point isn't to scare you out of traveling. The point isn't to scare you out of being here at BYU. These things are likely not going to happen to any of us here. And if they have, please know that there are resources and services here at the university and in the community and to the places that you're traveling to be able to have them there. You guys, thanks so much. Thanks. Sorry about being late, but thank you for waiting for me too. You guys have a good evening.